This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Let's move to the outfield because there was a big comment made by David Stearns that they're looking into getting an outfielder. Could be defensive, could be a bat first type of outfielder. A couple of names that have been talked about yesterday, today. Michael A. Taylor, 32 years old. Lee Jung, 25 years old. Taylor in 2023 had a 220 batting average, 21 home runs, 51 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, and a 720 OPS. I think he hit his career in home runs last season. And then for his career, he's 239 batting average, 95 home runs, 332 RBIs, and a 683 OPS. Joe DeMayo of the Mets pod said that he's in the 90th percentile with arm strength and the 85th percentile with sprint speed. So you got your defense and your speed, which kind of fits Stearns' run prevention talk that we've been talking about since the general manager meetings. Lee Jung, 7 seasons in the KBO, 340 batting average, 65 home runs, 515 RBIs, and an 860 OPS. Do you have any interest? I will go to both of you guys. Do you have any interest in the Mets signing any of those two guys, or is there someone else you have interested in? Because last week I had been talking about Teoscar Hernandez and Jorge Soler. There's also, Kevin Kiermaier, who's more of a defensive guy, as well as Harrison Bader. I'm not a big fan of Bader because he was injured. But what are your guys' thoughts on the outfield and how the Mets could add? We know right now it's McNeil, it's Nimmo, and Marte, I guess, with DJ Stewart. I don't know how that's all going to play out. Maybe Starling Marte is going to be the DH. I don't know, but I feel like we just can't count on him because he's not healthy. If he was healthy, that's one heck of a bat. But right now, we just don't know, and I don't feel comfortable with it. So where are you guys at with the outfield? What would you like to see?
I mean, look, right now what the setting is, what we're looking at, the landscape of what we're getting from the winter meetings is Jung Lee, and today we got the Michael A. Taylor stuff. Everything you said, honestly, it checks off a lot of boxes, because for me, it's not just the defense, it's not just how he can throw the ball, and it's how these guys can run the bases. This is a new world of baseball. There's new rules. We saw with a lot of teams last year, they snuck up on a lot of guys because they were more tailor-made to this style of baseball. So, listen, I'm okay with a signing like that. The Jung Lee one, though, it's interesting because he's a much more established player. He's going to cost a lot more than Michael A. Taylor. He's younger. So you're investing long-term with that sort of signing. The thing about Jung Lee, also, we want to mention 5 Gold Gloves in the KBO. So you're getting a very good defender there. There's no baseball savant for him, but he's getting 5 Gold Gloves there. He must be doing something correct. What I like about Jung Lee is that to me, what I see with him is I see a lot of the old version of Brandon Nimmo. Guy gets a lot of hits, guy gets on base, and he's going to score a lot of runs. He's a much better defender than Brandon as of right now. But the thing is that in the future, you're talking about an outfield with probably 3 left-handed bats, with Gilbert maybe coming up, Nimmo there long-term, Jung Lee there as a left-handed bat. So I don't know how that. I don't really know if there's many outfields in baseball that are all 3 lefties. I'm not sure, but listen, we want an outfielder that's pretty dynamic. There's other outfielders there. You got your Teoscars. That's fine. You have your other guys out there. I am a big fan. I am a big fan of Anthony Santander. I'm a huge fan. I think that right there checks off more boxes than most people thinks. He's a protection for Pete, switch hitter, can play a decent outfield. He's not the best outfield. He's not as defensively sound as a Jung Lee or a Michael A. Taylor. It's definitely a trade market situation, but he has 1 year left. It's not going to cost you the world. If you want to part with some kids, and you could talk to the Orioles, who the Mets have a great relationship with. I don't know if we can pull that off. I'm not sure. It's just me totally speculating. If I had to pin my finger down, though, on a guy who can fit and who probably is the best fit right now, it'll probably be a guy like a Teoscar. And the reason why I say that is because you're not going to probably sign him super long term. He's a good protection for Pete Alonso. He can DH as well. You know, he can mix match. You know, he's a right-handed bat. So I'm thinking more lineup sometimes too. I kind of get clouded at times with the lineup structure. So
It's
this is
because
where
they keep changing the lineup every freaking day. When was the last time we had legit structure? I think in the lineup, was it like 2006?
It's tough, man. Yeah, probably, because even in 15 we were moving guys around, to be honest with you. So you know it's tough. If you want an all defensive outfield, you want to go for the hole, which is left field. But here's here's my line of thinking, my baseball mind. To me, in my eyes, right field you need the strongest arm, right? Center field you need to have the best range. You need to be the fastest guy. Left field, you don't need the most sound defensive outfielder because you have a shortstop to help you with the cutoff, and you have your center fielder to your left-hand side. So you don't need the most sound defensive guy in left field. What you do need is better production from the right field slot. Now, then we go back to the rear, the elephant in the room, which is Starling Marte. I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even speculate at this point. But that's where you want your best defender. You know, that's where I would want my best defender, my strongest arm. And if he can't really play a lot, then what are we doing at that point? So
yeah,
I honestly, the outlook, I don't mean to be like this, but we have like a bad history with Spanish outfielders, bro. Like, I don't know what it is. They don't last very long with us. They give you 1 or 2 good years and then they're gone. So I honestly don't know.
Chris Ferro put a comment. Eddie
Love it.
Rosario, that's out for you.
I love that. Honestly, I love that more than Michael A. Taylor. I like that more. Michael A. Taylor will give you the defense and he'll run the bags well, give you the arm. But the reason why I like Eddie Rosario is because it's probably going to be a 1 or 2 year deal, and he gets to stick it to the Braves. And he's got a little bit of like swag to him. He has that attitude. You know, you're not going to hit Eddie Rosario. He's just going to take it like a lot of our guys did last year. So I like that sort of signing.
He's going to hit that Coca-Cola porch too.
And I'm with it, man. There's so many options, Anthony. Honestly, the thing is that I just don't want to sign a guy to just sign a guy. And sometimes we tend to do that, and it seems like there's a lot of teams out there that are really gung-ho on other positions, and that corner outfield market is there. Like, it's there. Try and get the best you can,
I know we talked about Marte a lot, but I think there's even an underlying topic in this whole thing, and that is with Brandon Nimmo moving eventually to maybe left field. I think we saw it last season. We saw he got really tired and he was starting to get injured, and you saw them starting to put him into left field and kind of, figuring out if it actually kept him healthier.
He looked good.
He did
looked good. I didn't think he looked bad in left. He looked good.
He tried being that center fielder that was going to make all the great catches. After he had that big catch in against LA at Citi Field the year before, and then he was making all these big catches at the beginning of the year. But I think he started to wear down. He started trying to hit too much with power, and he got really tired, and he started to get injured. And then Buck was like, "I'm going to move you to left field for a couple days," and then he was fine.
Yeah.
So we may see eventually him move to left field, and the Mets getting an actual center fielder. Key, who would you like to see the Mets bring in if they do bring in an outfielder? There's also like Adam Duvall's out there, Jock Peterson. What is a guy? Who would you like to see the Mets bring in here?
When I'm thinking about outfield, if you look at what we currently have, DJ Store is not moving the needle. He's a fine bench piece, right? Starling Marte is a complete question mark, and then you got Brandon Nimmo, who we don't know if he's going to be 2022 Brandon Nimmo, 2023, hit for power, be a better defender, want to be team captain, all this stuff, team leader, gung-ho. I think this team needs power. I think it needs power, and it needs it like right now. Because if you look at that lineup and you look at the other lineups, even within the division, they are so much better in terms of top to bottom guys you don't want to face in certain situations, and we don't really have that. We have 2 guys, Lindor and Pete. I think we need to really keep Alvarez, Mauricio maybe, but we need to really deepen this lineup. Keith talked about it when we've spoke about some of these guys that we've been, talking about who are targets. You need level raisers, and to me, no disrespect, Delomio, Eddie Rosario, he's not a level raiser. I don't want him. I think we need to, Tommy Pham was cool. He was cool. I love Tommy Pham. He was a great dude. We need to ask for more than that, though. I think
Mhm.
a guy like Teoscar fits the billing. A guy like Jung Ho Lee is a very good option. The only problem is, seeing how the transition works out. Even though we saw Suzuki last year, he looked great. We saw the what was the outfielder from the Red Sox?
Yoshida.
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 Yoshida was in the running for Rookie of the Year last year. So, these guys can make the proper transition. I don't see the problem with it. Michael Taylor is a good glove, but again, he fits more of that fourth outfielder billing.
I'm gonna help you out real quick too. Let me help you out. One thing about Korean players that you can harp on is you have one of the best defensive players in all of baseball from Korea, and that's the Kim kid from San Diego. So
Yep.
they transition very well. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, to be honest. But go ahead, my fault.
Well, I think that's a right fear to have just with anybody who's coming over, because not everybody is well suited to know what's going on with them.
Absolutely.
And I think that a guy like Anthony Santander makes a lot of sense. I think a guy like Luis Robert obviously makes a ton of sense, especially if you just mentioned possibly moving Nimmo to left field. That's perfect. That is the perfect segue to Nimmo's life as a left fielder. Have Luis Robert be your new Carlos Beltran in the lineup. Like that seems like the right fit. He's not the same defender as Beltran was, obviously, but he can hit for power, and he could provide the same sort of power output that Beltran did when we had a stacked lineup, when we had a power hitting first baseman, when we had a shortstop that can hit for average, that can get on base, steal bases. You get what I'm saying? So I think you have to add some power to that lineup, and whatever it is obviously helps, but you can't. A guy like Eddie Rosario is not gonna help us much. I'm sorry.
It's like Tommy Pham from
Eddie
Left-Handed.
Rosario, but like,
you know what it is? Honestly, it's like I'm just like, me. I have my expectations at like a true medium. Like I'm really trying to like not walk the fine line of like anger and like depression and then over exuberant myself when we may get linked to a Yamamoto or trade for a Santander or Robert. Like I'm trying my best to sit in my chair because I think I speak for everyone. I can't put a finger on anything David Stearns is doing. It's like the mad scientist. So I just have
close
to
to the vest right now.
Yeah, very
I
close
love
to
it.
the rest. Yeah,
I love it.
It's what should have been done for a long time. That was a Wilpon fail for such a long time.
Everybody could see what the Mets were into when the Wilpon
Oh yeah.
Everybody knew we were signing Jason Bay. There was no question about that.
Yeah, for sure. And I talked about this at the State of the Mets panel at QBC, and I said, instead of talking about trading Pete Alonso and Stewie, you got to get someone, like you said, Key, to protect him in the lineup. That's the only way this thing is going to work, is if you get actually someone to protect him in the lineup. And in the best case scenario, that should be Starling Marte, but he can't stay healthy. And I think the problem with what the Mets did last season is they said, you know what, let's get a backup outfielder because, we're going to count on Marte to do this and be that top guy again. And we all knew Marte was never healthy. He was never. And then they put him, I think they put him in center field one game, and that messed him up in Colorado. The Mets have to come at it as if Marte is going to be the bench player or be at DH. That's how they have to come at it and get an actual outfielder out there.
Anthony, I got a real quick trivia question for you.
That's a real expensive fourth outfielder, though. Just pointing that out. Sorry. That's a real.
No, you're good. I got a trivia question real quick for you. How many times Marte DH last year?
I'm going to say maybe once or twice. I don't remember DHing that much.
Big zero.
At all. There you go. Zero.
Big zero. Didn't DH not once.
And that's what I would have done with him to at least get him back up to speed. I mean, the guy was coming from, what was it, a double tear in his groin? Like,
and the thumb injury, right?
Yeah, the thumb injury.
Yeah. Yep.
You just don't come back from things like that quickly. So
and he's 35, like he's not young, he's up there in age. So he's very delicate for a man that's built like a Greek god. He's like a feather. So you got to be very careful with him.
He probably is the guy you pair like a Vientos with in a trade for like a reliever, a setup man, maybe an extra starter, because you got to get rid of some of that. You got to shed some of that contract. We don't know what we're gonna get out of Marte, and I think that's part of the problem with having him on the team.
There's log jams everywhere in this team. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like it's a good problem, but it's a problem
Yeah.
that takes a long time for it to resolve on its own. So I just don't know where it lands, where the plane ends up like landing, honestly. But
Right.
I'm keeping my eyes open more than anything.